Yo guys, welcome to another video. So, Cushions still not working and we're waiting for the next game where we're going to play as Byzantium. So I thought we could do a quick video about religions as well, because I did say I would do one of these a while ago. So this is going to be my kind of guide, I guess, to religions in Vox Populi. And yeah, basically the religious game starts as soon as you found your city, your first city. We're playing as India, so we get to choose Pantheon straight away, but normally you need to get to 50 faith. So, first decision you'll have to make generally is going to be whether you want to build a monument or a shrine first. There's obviously a lot of stuff to consider here, but I feel like this is kind of the way that I would look at it, without going into like too much detail on every specific strategy. But so first thing to consider is, do you want to build Stonehenge? Stonehenge is in here. So you need to research wheel first to get it. So you got to think if you actually want to go for that tech, or if you need to be going for other techs like bronze working or fishing that don't need wheel. And the other thing is, do you actually have enough production to build it? Obviously there's no point trying to build it if you don't have like fairly high production, because then somebody else will beat it to you and you won't get it anyway. And why would you actually want to build Stonehenge? There's a couple of synergies that it has. The first one is with Goddess of Beauty. If you go Tradition, Goddess of Beauty, get Stonehenge straight away. So Stonehenge gives you 50 faith, so it gets you straight to your Pantheon. You get this plus 4 faith, because you'll have plus 2 extra from the Stonehenge, and then plus 2 from the Palace as well. And you start getting the Great People. Yeah, works well with Tradition. Probably one of the quickest ways to get your faith off the ground, but it doesn't give too much other than faith, I guess. These great person points are alright, but they're not particularly game-changing. And the other synergy it has is Ancestor Worship. Doesn't have to be Tradition with this, but you do get a free council when you build Stonehenge, so the plus 2 faith and culture from councils, you'll get that straight away as well. Those are the synergies. Now, the other reason that you might want to build it is basically because it kind of guarantees that you'll get... I mean, you might not actually get first Pantheon, for example, if India's in the game, or some other religious civ, but most likely it's going to be the fastest way for you to get your Pantheon. So you should be able to get the one that you want with it. A few examples of ones you might want to go for is God of Open Sky, can often get taken and is a very good one to make sure that you get, and God of the Expanse as well. There's a couple of strategies that are really good with God of the Expanse. If you're authority and you have like bonus border growth or something like that, you can get really good yields from your borders growing, so having God of the Expanse is like very important to that. So you might want to build Stonehenge to try and get those. Honestly, that's about it. I mean, if there's another really good Pantheon that, like I said, you really want to make sure that you get, and you think somebody else might steal it first, and you think you can like get a good chance of building Stonehenge, then you should go for it, I guess. But other than that, I feel like you don't actually have to go for Stonehenge. A lot of people seem to just build it every game regardless, and like you are going to slow down other things if you do that. So if you're going to build Stonehenge though, then you would want to build a monument first. There's no point getting the shrine. Really, like you're better off getting into your policies, and then the Stonehenge will get you straight to your Pantheon anyway. Okay, next thing is if you're going to pick Tradition. If you're going to pick Tradition, I would also say go monument first. The reason is you want to get to your first, and then that will help you get to your second Tradition policy, which should almost always be sovereignty. This gets you plus 3 faith anyway, so you will kind of get the faith back from having better culture in the first place. And you just really need, like, you get the artist slot, you really need culture to get through Tradition. Otherwise, yeah, if it takes ages to get through Tradition, you can get pretty stuck. So yeah, monument if you're Tradition as well. Now, if you're authority or progress, then it starts to depend on which Pantheon you actually want to go for. If your Pantheon can actually start working early, then I generally do feel like it is better to go for the shrine first. So ones that can start working early, I mean, God of the Expanse can, Open Sky, like the terrain ones, God of Stars and Sky, Spirit of the Desert, that kind of stuff, they can all like pretty much start working from the start. So, you'll need to wait 25 turns after you build your shrine anyway, so I feel like you'll definitely be ready to start using it by then. And if you're progress as well, like some of the ones that require improvements, like camps and Earth Mother for mines and God of the Sea for boats, like you might well be able to get those in time because you don't need too many techs. Like you can build camps quite soon, and mines as well, and fishing boats as well, and you can get the free worker from progress to help you build those. So you could go for shrine first with those as well if you're progress. God of Nature as well is very, very good from the start if you've got mountains around you. And also, obviously, if you build the shrine first, you'll get the Pantheon first, and you may get it, higher up in the order, so you might not get your Pantheon stolen from you. So if there's something that you feel like you really, really need, then probably better to go shrine than monument. I would also just generally say that, like, going shrine first, you actually don't lose that much compared to going monument first. If you're progress, like, you can see these bonuses that you get for adopting progress. They work retroactively anyway, so if you get to the first policy a bit later, you'll still get, like, pretty much the same bonus as you would have if you'd got the monument first instead and got it a bit earlier. And kind of similarly with authority, like the main culture that you get from it is going to be from killing camps. So if you adopt authority a bit later, you just need to kind of wait. Like you can get the camps ready to be killed, but not actually kill them until you get authority. So you won't actually lose like that much culture from going shrine first. So I actually think most games shrine first is better than monument first if you're progress or authority. A couple of pantheons that I guess don't really start working very early, like springtime, craftsman, and I guess God of Protection. Like, I guess you might as well go monument first with some of these because they're not going to really be online until you have like the improvements and stuff built anyway. I guess God of Commerce as well falls into that. The thing is, these pantheons generally are like not actually as good as the other ones that I mentioned before, and you'll be getting them later. So it can be quite hard to found with these. Like you might need some bonus faith from some other source, like a resource monopoly, or from your civilization or something like that, if you actually want to be able to found with them. A little tip on figuring out whether you can found a religion or not is to check this tab here, like check the beliefs, because it will actually tell you who has taken which pantheon here. So you can kind of figure out, like, judging by who's taken the pantheons that actually give faith, and like how many civilizations have taken tradition as well, so they'll have the bonus faith. Like, you can sort of figure out how, like, whether each civ is going to have more or less faith than like average, and therefore if there are 5 civs, like if you're in an 8-player game, then it's the top 5 civs that can get a religion. So if there's 5 civs with like decent pantheons, then you know it's going to be a bit earlier than usual. But if there's like, 4 or more like warmonger civs who haven't really taken good pantheons, then you may well be able to get it a bit later than usual. To be honest, I feel like at the moment it should almost always be possible to found. Ancestor Worship like works in any game basically, doesn't require to have any specific terrain or resources or anything, and it's like 2 culture and faith from councils and 1 faith for every 5 citizens is enough to get a religion with usually. So I feel like it's almost always possible at least, but you may choose to not go for a religion if you just don't. Yeah, if there are no good pantheons, maybe it gets stolen, I guess. Or there are some other reasons as well. Like, usually I would think about sacrificing religion if I kind of knew that I would have a good chance of conquering people so that I could conquer one. Or maybe if I really wanted some early wonders and I just wanted to get everything moving a bit quicker. Because you definitely can have like a faster early game if you're not building shrines everywhere. However, I would always say build a shrine in your capital, like I guess second, even if you're not planning to go for a religion. Because there are some good pantheons that you can take. God of Creation is really the main one. +1 food production, gold, and science for every 2 pantheons founded, up to 8. So you can get 4 of each of those yields, just like for no extra effort, really. Definitely quite nice. Tutelary can be nice as well. This one doesn't give a lot of faith, but does give quite a bit of production. And you could consider taking some of the other ones, like Renewal, I guess, can give you quite nice bonuses at the start. Even if you don't think it's going to be enough to get you a religion. So yeah, a couple of pantheons we haven't necessarily mentioned yet. God of the Sun. I mean, the faith is actually quite good. It just doesn't give much else apart from that, and like mostly you're going to be getting bonus food with building granaries as well, which doesn't have a huge amount of uses like very early on. So I wouldn't usually pick this one. God of War, it's possible to farm with this as well, if you just go mad with killing units early on. I don't really like it though, because I don't feel like it gets you that much faith, and it doesn't give you anything other than faith really either. Its production bonus and ranged combat strength bonus is usually quite irrelevant. God King is interesting, you know. I think you can make it work with God King. Probably Tradition. God King makes the most sense. I haven't tried it for a while. I would like to though. I feel like it is doable. Festivals is not really a thing, unfortunately. Just doesn't give you enough. Purity is actually really nice early, but it does fall off quite a lot later on, because you don't really want to be working lakes and marshes after a certain point. But you kind of have to if you want to have faith and you've taken this. Home, kind of similar to Sun, I guess, just gives a lot of food and a decent amount of faith, but getting like culture or science or something from your religion is generally much better. And Goddess of Wisdom, I don't think it's too good because it's quite hard to get specialists in, like, you can get them in your capital with Tradition, but in the other cities it takes a while to actually get them. So probably quite difficult to found with this. And I don't think that it is going to scale like that well either to make up for that. So not one that I really go for that often there either. Or at all, to be honest. I'm pretty sure that the best Pantheon is generally going to be open sky. Like, if you have some pastures about and like plains and grass and whatever, it should be enough to get your religion, and it's definitely the one that scales the best throughout the game. Like, you'll just keep working more and more tiles, and you probably can like chop down forests and jungle and stuff as the game goes on. If you're making plantations and stuff, works with great person improvements when you put them down as well. The culture and faith from every 2 plains or grassland. I'm pretty sure it is the best. Alright, let's pick a Pantheon, and then we shall move on to founding our religion. Now, it's good to try and remember when your religion is about to be founded. So, okay, you need 800 faith usually. India has a reduction, so it's 520 instead. But it's good to try and like pay attention and keep track of how long it is until your prophet's going to spawn, because the prophet will basically spawn in the city with the highest faith per turn. Or it has a chance of spawning in any city that's within 2 faith per turn of that. So you can kind of play around with like what the city's working and stuff to make sure that it spawns in the right place. Normally it's best to just put your holy city in your capital. Like, there's a lot of bonuses for various things that get funneled to the capital, so it is good to just stack them. Like, that's usually the best. Like, some fringe case scenarios it might not be, but it's good to try and get it to be where you want it to be, so you don't have to spend turns moving them or have it in a bad place. Obviously, we only have one city here, so it's going to spawn there. Alright, Great Prophet spawns. Found the religion. Make sure you choose the correct symbol. And then, okay, found a belief. So this may be a bit too complicated, but so with pantheons, like most of the pantheons work where whatever religion you have in the city, you'll have the pantheon from that religion. There are some of them that have to be in the capital or whatever, and it says it on them. Founder beliefs work a little bit differently. So you only get the benefits from founder beliefs if the religion is your primary religion. So you must own the holy city, and if you are the person who actually founded that religion and you own the holy city, then that religion will always be your primary religion. You won't be able to change it. But if you did not found the religion, and say you own multiple holy cities, that you did not found any of them yourself, you can actually swap primary religion, depending on which religion is your majority religion. So, I guess it's rare that this really happens. There are some benefits that you can get from doing that. Like, it is possible to get some use out of swapping your primary religion, but just bear in mind that whenever you do that, you will actually lose all your stored up faith as well. So it is quite difficult to use, but there are some scenarios. But yeah, the actual choice of founder beliefs. So I think there's 9 of them or something? 8 or 9. So we might as well go through all of them. Now, Apostolic Tradition. This one is pretty good. The food is good, particularly at the start, and works very well if your holy city is your capital, and either if you're progress, because then you'll get science for every time your city grows, or if you're tradition, where you just want more citizens in your capital. The faith that you get from, once you spread your religion out, the faith that you get for every tech is pretty good as well, and it gives you faith to help you spread it, so kind of works quite nicely together. It's a pretty safe option, I think, though it just won't do much for you if you're authority. And I do think ceremonial burial is better if you're tradition. Like, the amount of faith that you can get from ceremonial burial once you spread it out to the 25 cities, which is the max, is a lot more than this, because it also scales with era. And you can get great people fairly often as well if you're playing tradition. Like, the amount of faith that you can get from ceremonial burial is nuts if you have, even just normal tradition, I feel like, but if you have bonus great person generation as well. And the faith obviously helps you to maintain the 25 cities so that you can get the max bonus as well, and even convert more than that, so that, you can get other benefits from having lots of people converted. And the culture is decent as well. So, really, really good one if you're tradition, in my opinion. Council of Elders I don't really like too much. It just doesn't give that much. I guess you could maybe use the science and production here to help you build some wonders, maybe. But it just doesn't give that much. It doesn't scale too much. The one thing you can say for it is that you can technically keep getting more and more bonus from it, because even though the scaling maxes out at 25 cities, each time you convert a new city, you will still get the production and science. I think it works best with if you're conquering a lot and you're using inquisitors on all your new cities. It's just that if you try and spread do it by spreading your religion, you just won't have enough faith compared to all these other founders that are giving people bonus faith. So you just won't get much from it. I would just stay away from this one, generally. But if you're going to have a massive empire and conquer stuff, it can be decent. Divine Inheritance. So, gives your holy city 20% of yields. Works nicely in a tradition capital. It is good that it doesn't really rely on you spreading your religion, but the downside is that you kind of have to do that anyway, because in order to get to your Reformation belief, you're required to convert a certain amount of the world. So I'm not a huge fan of it for that reason, because you'll still have to spread your religion anyway, so it's not like you'll just be able to chill and accept this bonus in your capital. You'll still have to try and convert a certain amount, and it won't help you do that because it won't give you any more faith. But like, I suppose you could get a reasonable amount from it in your holy city if you have like all the possible bonuses stacked. So in some situations it can be good. This one often gets taken first by the AIs though, even though I don't think it's that good. Now, hero worship is very good. You can kind of see that it's geared towards military stuff, so bonuses for conquering cities, great general points and stuff as well, golden age points and production bonuses, and it does really good for this. I mean, you could say that it doesn't give you so much if you don't conquer things, but even if you just conquer like a city-state, for example, early on, if you can't conquer any major civs, you can get a lot of faith and like get straight into enhancer belief quite early. So just gives a good amount of faith and yields. So I do like that one. Holy Law, I guess, is a little bit similar to Apostolic. You spread it out, it scales with the amount of followers you have, and then you get faith, science, and gold, but this one's on policies instead of technologies. Now, it doesn't give as much faith as Apostolic because this is 2 per follower, this is 5 per follower, but you'll get techs more often, more often than you do policies, so you will end up with more faith. From Apostolic, I think. And yeah, again, it doesn't help you actually too much with spreading the religion because you don't get as much faith from it, so it can actually be difficult to keep the 250 followers. I guess like ideal scenario, you'd have a fairly wide empire yourself where you could keep the 250 followers that way, or like maybe one neighbour that you could keep locked down, so you won't have to spend too much faith on keeping the 250 followers, but you can get the nice science and gold boost. Generally, I prefer Apostolic though. Theocratic rule is quite an interesting one. So we love the King Day boosts faith, culture, and gold outputs of all cities by 15%. And the thing that makes this one quite interesting is that you don't actually need to have your religion in all of your cities to get this bonus. Like, all of your cities get the bonus from We Love the King Days without you needing to have your religion in all of them. And there are a couple of strategies that you can do that actually work quite well with like only having like your holy city as your religion and stuff like that. So it can work well with them. The amount that it actually gives, it's not going to give you enough faith to help with conversions, really. And again, you're going to have the issue of needing to get to Reformation belief anyway in an ideal world. So it can be hard to use, but there's definitely some cool strategies that can be done with this one. Transcendent Thoughts is pretty meh now. It's been nerfed. The yields are just not quite high enough. Like, technically, you can get quite a lot of yields if you can keep cities converted, because you get the yields every time it goes into a new era, and it scales with era as well. So you can get a decent amount late game. But it generally just scales very slowly, and it doesn't really give you much faith, so very difficult to keep 25 cities your religion. I think ideal scenario for this one, again, is kind of a situation where you have quite a lot of cities yourself that you're inquisitoring, and you don't have to worry about just like spamming out missionaries to people, because you won't really have enough faith to compete with the other civs. Again, I haven't chosen this one for a while, so I wouldn't recommend it. Way of Noble Truth, however, can be very good. The tourism is not really what I would choose it for. I think the city-state influence is the main part of it. Scales with era again, and if you can get like Borobudur, fealty opener to reduce the cost of your missionaries. Like, you can seriously start locking down city-states with this, which can give you a lot of bonuses. I mean, ideally you'd want to have statecraft to get more bonuses from the city-states you're allied with. But, like, it can have uses anyway, allying militaristic city-states for unique units, allying mercantile city-states for happiness, culture city-states for culture. Like, it's definitely good. Bit of extra happiness as well, and I guess tourism can have certain uses. I just wouldn't. That's generally not going to be the thing that makes this good. One thing about it, though, once more, doesn't give you bonus faith, so it's good to have like a good amount of faith production if you want to choose this one, because you want to spam as many missionaries as possible. And bear in mind that if you've chosen this, you're kind of committing to spending a lot of faith on missionaries throughout the game, like basically all of your faith. So you're not going to be getting like great profits really, or able to buy other stuff with faith as much as you can with other founder beliefs. On the subject of great profits, this one works well with great profits as well, actually, because the +5 culture from holy sites is like the best bonus out of all of them. Well, I guess divine inheritance with great profits as well. And since you won't want to use too many missionaries with it anyway, kind of makes sense. So that's not like a big part of the founder beliefs, but that is a little thing that makes a difference, is what bonus do you actually get on the holy sites. Like, this one is kind of bad. Culture is good, science is good, all yields is good, production's good, gold and food not so much, and tourism not so much. Alright, that is founder beliefs. Now, next thing, you get to choose one follower belief. You get your second follower belief when you get your next great prophet. So let's talk about follower beliefs as well. Now, they're kind of split into a couple of categories. There's the yields per citizen one, so asceticism, creativity, or yields per follower, diligence, scholarship, and thrift. These follower beliefs, you'll get them in any city which has the religion. So foreign cities which get your religion will also get these beliefs. Now, these yields per follower ones can be quite difficult to use. There's a lot of pressure normally floating around, especially if you're on like a Pangaea map or you got a lot of other religions around you. It's quite hard to maintain like high follower counts, even in cities, of your religion, because it kind of gets reduced to like close to 50% of the population. So yeah, it can be hard to get good yields out of these. I guess works best if you're like, tall, so you got big cities with big populations, then you get more yields from these. And probably the ones like thrift and asceticism are easier to use because they only require it's per follower, whereas the other ones are per 2 followers. Creativity is actually per 3 followers, but this one is usable because you can get just the 2 faith from having a specialist anyway, which you should probably start having by the time you're actually found in your religion. Again, I suppose the ideal scenario with these is to be using inquisitors on your cities to keep the follower counts high, or if you're quite isolated, so you're not getting pressure from other religions, you can think about these ones. And generally, you want to pick the yield that like supplements your weakness, I guess. If you're struggling with production, then diligence can help you with that, and can be nice for happiness as well if you're struggling with the yield. And you can get bonus on that yield. Particularly thrift is pretty good for that, because poverty is a big deal in some games. Alright, next category is like the buildings. So there's cathedrals, churches, mandirs, mosques, orders, pagodas, stupas, and synagogues. Now, you have to spend faith on these, so bear that in mind, that it will take a while for your beliefs to actually come online, And they all give kind of like flat bonuses with maybe some percentage bonuses as well on top, depending on what their specific bonus is that you can read there. I do always say this, but orders are just so good. You get faith from unit kills, bonus defense, and a morale promotion, and bonus experience on your units. So better fighting units can get loads of faith if you're in some long wars and you've got these in all of your cities. And the defense can be such a godsend. I honestly feel naked when I don't have these, just because like 2 or 3 defense in the mid game makes a massive difference, which is what these give. Like, it's very rare that you'll get through a game without people attacking you or having any kind of war where you can get a lot of faith from these and get use out of them. So almost always a good one, I suppose, unless you're like really isolated. Next best building is probably Pagodas, like the 1 yield from every 2 followers from every foreign religion, so every religion with a follower. I feel like it's not bugged anymore, so it does give the correct amounts, but it can be like, you can generally get 2 or 3 of all yields in your cities from this, and that is better than these other buildings, which are generally giving 2 or 3 of like one specific yield. So Pagodas definitely can be good, particularly depending on how many religions there are close by to you. Cathedrals are good. They give 1 gold to your farms, pastures, and quarries, and it works very well with golden ages, because when you're in a golden age, every tile you have that has 1 extra gold gets an additional gold. So every farm that you have, you can have quite a lot of farms, and all of them give you +2 gold during golden ages. And you get gold when your borders expand as well, which happens relatively often. Mosques are good as well. Mandirs are reasonable. Synagogues are reasonable. Churches are like okay. And stupas are generally quite bad. It's kind of my opinions on them. Bear in mind that when you're choosing these buildings, some of the wonders that you might want to build will give you free versions of these religious buildings. So like free mandir from Angkor Wat, free stupa from Borobudur, free church from Hagia Sophia. So if you're going to get a free one anyway, you might want to avoid taking that. I suppose mosque is a good example for this, really, because you get a free mosque from University of Sankor. And often that means that I don't choose mosques when I'm tradition, as I would rather build University of Sankor. I think it's not so bad anymore, because I think you now get refunded if you build a wonder that gives you a free version of a building you've already got, but probably still better to avoid it, so you can get more of the religious buildings. I guess these work best in like wide empires, because you just get the flat bonus from the building. Doesn't matter about your population in the city or anything. And it can be a nice way of getting new cities online. You just build some bonus buildings in them to help them get going. And they also create bonus pressure as well. All of them, apart from the orders, increase the pressure of your religion. So that's another nice thing about them as well. Alright, there's a couple of like kind of unique followers. So cooperation yields whenever a citizen is born. It's okay. I mean, yields per turn are generally better because they can deal with happiness a bit, whereas this doesn't really interact with unhappiness. Don't think it gives that much as well. But it's not terrible, but it's not really that good either. Mastery is kind of okay. Like, you can kind of figure out how good it is because you can just figure out how many specialists you're going to work. You're going to get +1 yield from each specialist, basically. So you can tell how good it's going to be for you. I mean, generally you only would pick it with tradition, I think, and even then it may not always be the best option because you may get more yields in the capital, but it's probably not going to give much yields in the other cities. It's always a tempting one to go for though, and I don't think it's terrible. And then Veneration is the last kind of unique-ish one. So 1 to quite a few of the yields, and then 10% culture and gold of whatever faith that you spend on buying stuff. So if you have a really good faith generation, then obviously this is worth considering. Like, you can kind of figure out how much culture and gold you're going to get from it if you just think how much faith you're going to get per turn. 10% of that. I mean, bear in mind you can also get like instant yields of faith, so 10% of those as well will be turned into culture and gold. And the yield is decent, so this can definitely be a good one. It takes a while to come online, so it's never actually spectacularly good or anything, but it can be nice. It works very well with orders. The issue is that it's quite difficult to get both of these. Like, orders gives you the bonus faith from killing units. Can be quite a lot towards the end of the game, and then you can convert it into culture and gold. Yeah, Veneration almost always gets taken within the first round of religions, and orders often does as well. Like, you've got more chance of getting orders second time around. So if you want to try and get both, I guess go for Veneration as your first follower belief, and then hope that no one takes orders. But orders are generally better, so I feel like missing out on orders is more of a big deal than missing out on Veneration. But it is possible to get both, and then that is quite a good combo there. And just if you have a good faith generation, you might want to think about getting Veneration anyway. I mean, the one thing you wouldn't want to combine it with is like if you're going to be getting a lot of great prophets, because I think unless you're Byzantium, you won't be buying your great prophets. They'll just spawn, so you won't get the 10% faith turned into culture and gold. Okay, I believe that is it for the Pantheons, founders and follower beliefs. I'm going to do a second part where we will talk about enhancing and reforming your religion and, like, you know, strategies to do with that, and just some general religious strategies as well, like the way to play with different religions and some of my favorite religious combinations as well, I guess, that I tend to use in different games. So yeah, that should be exciting. Like I said, we are playing Byzantium next. That's why I wanted to do this religious guide first, so that we can have some thoughts about it and then have a fun game where we get to play with all the religious mechanics, because Byzantium, not only do you get a bonus belief, but you get to choose any belief that you want as well, so you won't have to worry about other people stealing your belief, as well as some other cool stuff that you can do as Byzantium. So hopefully that will be on Wednesday, I would imagine, that we'll play as them. Definitely at some point this week though, depending on if a new patch comes out or not, which I can't really figure out if it is or not. We'll see though. Make sure you follow me on Twitch, because that is where I will do the live stream. And yeah, just subscribe as well if you enjoy the videos. And I shall see you guys soon for the next part of this.